The Quick Start Guide to Vegan Diet Success. I'm Chris Costello, and you'll be hearing interviews with author of the China Study, T. Colin Campbell, Dr. John McDougall, Dr. Neil Barnard, Rip Esselstyn, and Dr. Doug Lizell. Please consult a health professional before changing your diet, and we hope you find these interviews inspirational. Today we'll be talking with T. Colin Campbell, author of the best-selling book, The China Study, Startling Implications for Diet, Weight Loss, and Long-Term Health. The China Study was written by T. Colin Campbell and his son, Thomas M. Campbell II, and has been called the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted. Dr. Dean Ornish says everyone in the field of nutrition science stands on the shoulders of Dr. Campbell, who is one of the giants in the field. This is one of the most important books about nutrition ever written. Reading it may save your life. John Robbins says T. Colin Campbell is recognized as a brilliant scholar, an educated researcher, and a great humanitarian. If you truly want to take charge of your health, read the China Study and do it soon. So, Dr. Campbell, you discovered some amazing things in your research, which you describe in the China Study. Can you tell our listeners what that process was, kind of the step-by-step, what you found out?
Yes, I mean, as I said in my doctoral dissertation at Cornell University, I was doing research with my professors on the idea that of trying to figure out, more effective ways and productive ways of producing more animal-based protein. Then, a little later, while being at Virginia Tech for 10 years, actually, I got involved in an international program in the Philippines, where our charge was to tackle the problem of malnutrition in children. And we generally assumed in those days, and still to some extent these days, children are malnourished, at least nutritionally speaking, because they don't get enough calories or they don't get enough protein. And the protein thing obviously was something we were very interested in. It also was consistent with my training, because in my doctoral dissertation, as I said, we were trying to figure out ways to promote the greater consumption of protein, especially animal-based protein. So we were tackling the problem in part that way in the Philippines. But what I noticed when I was there, sort of happenstance, was that although the vast majority of the Filipinos did not consume as much protein as we did in the West, and of course we thought it was better, that we had a better deal here than they did there, whereas the majority of people did not consume enough protein, there were a few who did. Few families who were getting protein more or less at our levels. But then it also turned out that these are the families who had children, for example, who were more likely to experience liver cancer, primary liver cancer, which is virtually unheard of as far as young people are concerned. It was anecdotal, it wasn't documented, it wasn't any of that kind of thing. It was just something that my surgeon friends told me about when I was working with them. And so it was a bit at odds with what you're trying to do, because these families consuming more protein, having children to have a greater likelihood of getting more cancer. I mean, it really sounded crazy. But then there was a study that came from India with experimental animals that showed, in fact, that when they were studying the formation of liver cancer in these rats, and they fed the higher levels of protein, these animals, the liver cancers grew faster. And so all of a sudden, the experimental animal studies were supporting what I thought I was seeing in children. So it was on the basis of those two observations that then I came home, essentially, and organized a study with NASA Institutes of Health funding, NIH funding, for the next 27 years, working on this question concerning the effect of protein consumption on the development of experimental cancer.